Rosanna Escobar. I am from Colombia, and now I live in Germany, but I've been living in the Netherlands for the last 5 years, and I'm a biologist, and later on I started also design, and I recently graduated from the Design Academy, and now we have a company together called Secondary Raw, and we both graduated from the Design Academy, and are now working in a project in relation to coffee bags.
Yeah, I'm Zoa Rosenkranz, I'm German, and we both live in Berlin now. And together we recycle the coffee bag. So we started with this material that arrives actually from Colombia to Europe as a packaging material. And we wanted to try, get all kinds of new material possibilities from this actually almost raw fiber that arrives here. So then we gave you a call and talked with you to see also what the possibilities could be in paper making. And now we are here making paper with you.
Yeah, wonderful. So I'm the owner of PapierLab. I'm Marike de Hoop. And PapierLab is a place in Rotterdam that is used for me and especially guests, people that start to rent the place, to experiment with all kind of fibers, what they can do with it to make a paper carton or maybe even new material.
I contacted the Crafts Council to check if there was a paper master, a paper craft woman, and they told me about you, and then we contacted, and then it was a really flowy conversation also because paper used to be made before from textiles, so it was an interesting transformation of the material for us, and we're always trying to push the boundaries of material and to explore the potential that has not been found yet by repurposing the material, but looking deeper into what are the possibilities in looking to older techniques that maybe can become innovative techniques today.
That's really the goal of PapierLab, so that's very interesting that in this way we find each other, because you're helping to do it, to make the proof.
Yeah, so it started by being my graduation project. So I'm from Colombia, so the coffee bag was really a link to my country, but also a textile, a woven natural fiber that it's currently not seen as a material, but actually just as a packaging. And I think we have this problem in a lot of the products that have not been designed circular, but just have a line of production that ends up being waste, and there's not circularity around it. So at the beginning it's always been about revaluing materials and looking at materials again, and looking at the energy and the amount of people that are involved in the production of things that right now we take for granted, and taking care. I think it's taking care about, when we talk about sustainability, it's also we care about the secondary life of materials. And I think now it's like using old techniques with newer technologies, and I think that there's a really big opportunity there. But you need places like PapierLab also that are willing to experiment and push the boundaries, because otherwise we just continue in the same way that products work today, which is not circular.
And I think that's also where we all three of us share the same values in this reusing, recycling, extending the lifespan of a material or an object. And I think also, especially Rosanna and me, we did different projects, and Rosanna started with a whole research around this fiber, and also going to Colombia and seeing how the plant grows and how it's extracted and how it's then made into the bag actually. So you did the old background research, but I think also this whole value chain and looking at how a material evolves and changes, and how the user connects with it, or in this case not connects with it, and how it's thrown out. And that's something I think all three of us talked about a lot. And that
and I think in general, maybe for you, it's also the fact that today the paper doesn't carry any almost DNA from the material itself.
Right.
That
Industrial paper, you cannot see the fiber, or if it's not written on it where it's made of, you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And normally it was always, I mean, it's for me it's been crazy to see how the paper doesn't need any glue or any binding, but it just comes together, and it's like it's just the nature of the fiber itself,
Yes.
how it bonds.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
so beautiful.
Yeah.
So when we arrived here, we arrived basically with the bag as a piece. So the first we thought we could also put it in the machine as little pieces of the bag, but because it's a really tough fiber, the process started with cutting the bag in smaller pieces and unraveling the bag back to the fiber basically. And then we tested first only the fiber immediately in the Hollander beater, but then we saw that it was really tough, so we started putting it into water, cooking it with soda for 1.5 hours to open up and weaken the fiber basically. And then after rinsing and washing the fiber, it was slowly feeded into the Hollander beater. And then from that we got the pulp out of the machine. So then you already feel it's way more, the fibers are way more opened up and soft and cling together. So you at that point actually start to be able to imagine that could become a sheet of paper. And from that moment actually the paper making starts. So then the fibers go into the water or into the frame in the water, and then the frame gets lifted up, and then you couch it onto like a foam piece and a textile piece, and then it gets like layer by layer, sheet by sheet. We made paper, and then we pressed it in a press to get the remaining water out, and also the fibers to basically entangle even more and stay together, so the paper would become a sheet. And after that there follows the drying, and then so we were hanging the paper to let it dry overnight, and then it gets pressed again to flatten, but even to make it stronger also. And yes, then you have a sheet of paper. I think we were really surprised that it's actually really possible, because we thought it's possible. We talked to you told us it's possible, but I think the surprise of the first day was to really have a sheet of paper and to see that it's really possible, and how fine it is also, and also the color. Because the bags are printed, we were also a bit scared that it will turn into this gray paper, and that the ink would really affect the color of the paper a lot, and that we would need to think about how to get the ink off before we make the paper or something like that. So that was a really, really great surprise. And also that I think also how the structure of the fiber changes from something so tough to something so soft. I think that was really surprising for us as well. Even though we assumed it or we hoped for it, it was nice to see that it's actually possible.
Well, those two girls are the ones that where PapierLab is made for, really, to come with a bag. Can we make paper from the bag? This simple question. It should be those kind of simple things. I never used this fiber, so the fiber was new. I know only sisal, so that I said I only know sisal, and sisal was one of the toughest fibers, so this was tougher. And then I learned that while paper making, the water goes out very quickly, which is very nice and relaxing. Then the process goes quicker, and all the time I found out, this is going so easy. It's what did I say yesterday? It's a easy-going fiber or whatever.
Yeah.
It's so how the fibers are giving us feeling. It can stress us, it can do anything with us, and this fiber stressed us in the beginning, But that's just to get to know each other. And then afterwards it was very willing to become paper.
Here we really learned the process, also on the scale that is reachable and not a big industry. And also it was really nice to see that you tested yourself so many different kind of materials and fibers, and that you have books full of samples of all kind of materials. And then I think for us it was also really nice to see this lab atmosphere and working with a small but still in the direction of industrial machine. So I think that was also really inspiring, this like in between craft and industrial, and like working with machinery but still working with your hands and really close to the material.
Our next steps is prototyping and producing as much as we can of paper now, and testing in the studio new things, new fittings, new what can we create out of it. We need to get in touch with materials again, because we have lost touch completely and we don't know where things come from. And the white sheet of paper is one of the biggest, I think it's the biggest example where you don't feel that there's a trace of nature. So we are surrounded with things that have nothing to do with the natural element or qualities of materials, and that makes us be really far away from touch, and we lose it also with technology and that everything is digital. So I think having these kind of spaces that try to keep this alive is super important. And I also think especially for kids, like education, that we feel materials again from our hands.
Once people, any people, young people or older people, have seen paper made by hand, so that they can see if it's from a tulip, that you see something from a tulip in it, or that it's from a bag from an agave, that they see that there's really something very different from the paper from the tulip or the paper from old paper. Then they even maybe see that the industrial paper that is made from wood, that they can imagine that there was a tree. Because you don't see the nature in it, but it's still a natural product. Nearly all paper, when it's not plastic coated, it will react to water, or it will react to sunshine or to temperature. So it's nature. So maybe we need more natural things to see the little less likely natural stuff also as nature. So therefore it's really very important. I really hope that you are going to experiment a little bit more this technique and maybe also some other techniques together, because I'm sure you will find new material that you don't call paper, but then you call it material. Because I see when you not integrate but experiment with the different techniques, new ones and old ones we talked about, then other things appear, other material possibilities appear, and it's not a wish for you, but I think you are going to find new material. So good luck with that.
Yeah, thank you that you opened your workspace to us and shared your knowledge and your expertise with us, and we had a really good time. Thank you for that.
Yeah, well, thank you for your trust, because you come all the way from Berlin to stay here for those 5 days. So yeah, thank you for coming and taking this so serious. And it's serious, you found it out, so that's very nice. So I thank you for that too.
Thank you.
Come back.
Thank you. We will come back for sure.